Greetings, and welcome. This is your brother Chief Flying Eagle, aka Lord American. This video is going to be at least, 30 minutes long or 30 minutes short, put it that way. But I know people nowadays, they're just so used to this microwave information and microwave effect. They want everything instantaneously, like in 2, 3 minutes. It can't always be that way. All right. I don't own a microwave. I don't microwave my food because I don't want radiation. So I want to give you this information strictly because I put my food on the stove or in the oven. All right. So we're not doing the microwave, no radiation information today. But you don't want to miss this. You definitely want to get that information. I know the mind is so getting used to that 2 or 3 minute video. All right. I want you to fight to get through this because it's very, very important. It's imperative that you get this and you get it now. Here we go. Get a pen and a pad. You may want to take some copious notes. We're going to talk about the whole situation of enslaved people, so to speak, and the birthright citizenship debate that's taking place. As a matter of fact, the court had a ruling 6-3 in favor of Donald Trump's agenda, in regards to birthright citizenship. And a lot of people, so-called Black people, so-called African American, and that term is not just designated to people in the U.S., but my brothers and sisters on the U.S. soil, they claim it, and it's okay. You know what I mean? So it's all right. But you think it's a victory for you. You think it's a win. And the consensus, or at least people on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, they're saying that, this proves that we are the original people of the land. And no, we don't. I'm telling you, no, we don't. No, we don't. Let me just make one thing clear. I am not a content creator. I don't do videos for like. I don't do videos for monetization. I don't do none of that. I do these videos strictly to give knowledge because I was sent for one purpose, and I'll keep reiterating that. And that's to restore my people. I don't give a damn about TikTok and their money and their promotions to go live and make money. I don't want that. I want back my land, my sovereignty, and leave my people alone. That's what I want. And it's rare, very rare to find that. I keep telling y'all I was cut from a different cloth. So let me prove to you this birthright citizenship is just another way of bringing our people back on the plantation mentally and on paper. Boom, let's rock. The situation of enslaved people and their descendants in the U.S. by Lord American, which happened to be me. During slavery, enslaved individuals were considered property, and they still are today because they are subjects of that corporation. Okay, slavery was never abolished, it was just transferred from the so-called plantation. And whenever people hear the word plantation, they think of slaves from Africa. No, the etymology of the word plantation, it means estate. Our ancestors owned the estates all over the Americas. We owned our lands, so we could never be slaves on our lands. Yes, we can be prisoners of war, but not slaves. We could be workers, but not slaves. They literally, our people were working their lands, and they took the word workers and transformed it into slavery. Okay? So therefore, by our people accepting the term of being slaves, be it from Africa or just enslaved on the land, their own land, then they become property of their slave masters, their bosses, and not citizens of the corporation that plantation was established in. One thing you must know is this: the United States is a corporation as per their own codes. I'm not making it up. Go look it up yourself. Do your due diligence. Don't believe anything that I say, because in the word believe is the word lie. Anytime I ask you to believe me, I'm lying to you. So please hold me to that standard. Go look it up. Title 28, U.S. Code Section 15, capital A. The U.S. is a federal corporation, period. So our people were fighting to be a citizen or citizens of a corporation, a society that was created on our ancestral land. They had no recognized national citizenship to pass on because slaves cannot own anything. The only thing a slave could pass on is the title of being a slave to their children or their descendants. So therefore, citizenship was not one of those privileges. To be a citizen of the United States is a privilege because it's a private club. It's a private society. You don't realize that because you could go to the store, you could travel, you could do this, but it's a private club. And the United States, it has owners. Okay? It has owners. It's a corporation. That's why they have a president. All right? Children born to enslaved parents were also born into slavery and were not considered citizens. Like I just told you, you inherited the title of being a slave. Here comes the 14th Amendment. It was the 14th Amendment to the Constitution ratified in 1868 that primarily granted citizenship to formerly enslaved people of their descendants. Why 1868, you may ask? Well, in 1868, it was a Jubilee. I keep telling people every Jubilee, the corporation, the slave masters, are supposed to make some type of provision so their slaves could free themselves and get back to their original land. You feel me? But nah, my people missed it in 1868. Here comes the 14th Amendment, a new contract. Let's ratify that contract because we cannot make them citizens of, they were not citizens of the corporation because why? They were American Indians working their lands on contracts. They were sharecroppers. They were workers. But we have a new name for workers. Let's just call them slaves and tell them they're from Africa. So primarily granted citizenship to enslaved people and their descendants. Citizenship of what? A corporation. So you are going from a living man and a living woman, a sovereign man, a sovereign woman, now becoming a creation on paper, a legal person, en legis, because of the 14th Amendment. This amendment established jus or jus soli, which means birthright citizenship. It is only citizenship by birth, not because you are original to the land, because it has nothing to do with the land. We are talking about contract law right now. We are talking about contracts. We are talking about things that's done on paper, a whole new creation that was created on paper, a society that was created within our lands. And therefore, to be a part of that exclusive club, you have to be birthed into that club and called a citizen of that club. There was no slave ships from Africa. There was citizenship, not a slave ship. Okay? Your mother carried you through her waters and then brought you to the dock, aka the doctor. And then the government said, listen, man, the ship has come in. We need to take the ship and the manifest on that ship and make them citizens of our corporation. For those born within the U.S. and subject to its jurisdiction. Keyword, subject. That means you owe allegiance to the corporation that was established in our lands. There was a Jubilee in 1868, my people. I love you. And nobody else is going to tell it to you that way. Because what they want to do is, you see, they want to pacify you. They want to appease you. They want to give you the things that you want to hear to make you feel good. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to make you very uncomfortable. I'm here to get you mad. I want to show you the truth. That's why I'm not a content creator. That's why I don't monetize videos. I'm not here building a personal empire. I'm not here promoting personal brands for personal gain. I'm doing it all for my people, whether they realize it or not. And you have all these popular YouTubers, TikTokers, Facebook, Instagram. Well, the birthright citizen, everybody's celebrating. Oh, well, this proves we are the original people of the land, and it proves they are doing it for us. Oh, well, really? The slave master love is the best because we are special slaves. Don't get into your emotions at that point, because I know the truth. Right now, you're feeling some type of way about your brother right now. But I'm only the messenger. Listen with discernment. Those who have eyes, let them see, and ears, let them hear. A lot of these big YouTubers and these Facebookers and these TikTokers, they are walking y'all into a burning building because they're content creators. Let us rock. Their original path to citizenship was not just sanguinis or just sanguinis from their formerly enslaved ancestors, because that's the cutoff point. Even if we are the original people of the land, the mere fact that you took on the title of being a slave, meaning that a child of Hagar, Hagar was a bondswoman, Hagar was a slave woman, and all her children took on the title of being slaves. So right now, you are the children of Hagar by claiming the 14th Amendment citizenship as descendants of slaves, and not the children of Sarah, which is all allegory. Sarah represents the free children, the children of Jerusalem. The people, the children with the sovereign children, the children of Jerusalem. Sarah represents, and her descendants represents the children of Jerusalem, sovereignty. Hagar represents the children of bondage, slavery. So therefore, they're only given citizenship into the corporation only by birth, not through ancestral lineage from an indigenous original perspective. However, they got their citizenship via being slaves from Africa, or just slaves in general, whether you think you came from Africa or not. The key word is slave and slavery, and not prisoners of war. Those are two different categories. So it was just Soli due to the 14th Amendment. Only birthright citizenship by birth to the soil. And I was making an attempt to explain this to a sister, but she wanted to get into emotion because you can't tell nobody nothing. If I'm wrong and somebody pointed out, I will make the adjustment. I will make the correction. You feel me? But not everybody's like that. So she took it into a whole different direction, and I just left it alone. I left it alone because I'm not here to convince anybody or force anybody to see the truth. Just Soleil only means you have title to the soil by birth, and that makes you a native. Same category of the Native Americans, but y'all here fighting the Native Americans, but you're a native. Why do you think Josiah, that native dude, the one I'm always putting in place, he been watching me? Not just me, a lot of us. So they're changing their tones. Well, we're not native anymore. We now American Indians. He's flipping the script and now calling so-called black people natives because he's paying attention. I'm giving him law. So now he's learning the difference. I know he's watching. He's watching. So yes, you are native to the land because you're only considered citizens by birth due to the 14th Amendment, and not just sanguinis from your time immemorial ancestors who have been here from time immemorial. American Indians. However, any child they have born outside the U.S. could get citizenship via jus sanguinis, provided the U.S. citizenship or citizen parent meets the specific requirements set by the immigration law for transmitting citizenship. So yes, if you're a citizen of the U.S., regardless of ethnicity, and you have a child that's born abroad, they could be U.S. citizens via jus sanguinis. Why? Because they were not born on the land jus soli, a native. However, their blood mother or father is a citizen of the corporation. Therefore, they could get citizenship via jus sanguinis. You dig? Pay attention. It would be impossible for someone whose sole claim, keyword, sole claim to the land is through the modern legal principle of jus soli, meaning that the 14th Amendment, which is what our people are celebrating right now. Well, Donald Trump gave it to us. So now we get to kick out the Mexicans, we get to kick out the Jamaicans, we get to kick out the people from Trinidad, the people from the West Indies, the Haitians. All these people are actually original people of the Americas. But y'all glad the corporation is kicking them out. Do you think it's for your benefit? Because you think the slave master has a special price for you? Oh, you're going to learn the hard way. You are going to learn the hard way. I'm only here to give you the truth. You do what you want with it. You can hate me. I don't care what you call me. A lot of you still call me Tether, but I'm more of an original American than you because you're calling yourself a descendant of a slave from Africa. My people did not come from Africa. I got proof of that. You dig? So I'm here to give my people the truth, man. Not no watered down information, not giving you things to make you feel good because that's what you want to hear, because I want to promote my channel or my brand or get paid from videos. I don't give a damn about that. All I care about is our sovereignty. Give us back our land and leave us alone. Don't put our people in jail. Don't take our children. Don't pull us in your courts. Don't stop having the police pull my people over for no reason because they calling themselves black. That's what I'm here for. Fighting to put an end to all of that. They could keep their reparations because reparations has nothing to do with that. Reparations is a personal thing where you repair yourself. But let us proceed. Being born outside of the land, then saying, all right, let me rephrase that again. It would be impossible for someone whose sole claim to the land, meaning that the Americas, particularly the United States, because that's what a lot of the foundational black people talk about. There's no such thing as a foundational black American. It don't exist. But for some reason, they want to hold on. I love you. That's why I'm telling you the truth. It says, being born within the current borders of the nation state, which is the United States, the principle of jus soli, to claim being an American Indian, Aboriginal American, or original American of the land. It's impossible. You cannot be a descendant of a slave from Africa and at the same token, you claiming that you are indigenous, original to the land. Claiming the Aztecs, the Mayas, the Olmecs, and the Washitas, and claiming the Mississippi culture. How can you claim that if you're a slave from Africa or your mothers and fathers came from Africa as slaves? You got to make up your mind. You cannot serve two masters at one time. Where is your allegiance? It's either to the master or to your ancestors. Which one is it? Because the master told you came from Africa as slaves. And that's what you are celebrating with that whole thing Donald Trump and the courts just passed. Don't realize it's a trap because you think they trick you first. Let us go after the so-called illegal Mexicans and immigrants and the Haitians and the Jamaicans and the people from the West Indies, which are actually original to the land. I'm talking about the people that look like us from the islands. They are indigenous to the land. But you are celebrating they are being kicked out because you think they're coming to take what's yours. Very interesting. But check this out. Here's why you cannot claim that to be American Indian or Aboriginal or indigenous to this land. This is why. Aboriginality, pardon me. I'm getting tongue-tied right now. But Aboriginality is based on original ancestral inhabitation. In other words, it has to go back to your ancestors from time immemorial, not people coming from Africa. To be American Aboriginal or original indigenous to a land means being the original indigenous peoples of the territory, whose ancestors have inhabited that land since time immemorial, meaning that from a time we cannot even put a time stamp on, often before the formation of the modern nation state. And a lot of you claim, well, before the United States was created, we were here. But you're still, I'm not disputing that, but you're still claiming to be slaves from Africa. So therefore, it's contradictory. It's very contradictory in now calling yourself American Indian, Aboriginal, or whatever the case is. It's impossible. This connection is profoundly tied to the continuous ancestral lineage. Okay? Just sanguine. It has to be continuous and unbroken line of ancestral people on the American lands. And should not start from slaves coming from Africa claiming to be indigenous. In your specific understanding of continuous Aboriginal presence and a deep pre-colonial relationship with this land. So it's either you're slaves from Africa or you indigenous. People who became prisoners of war, misclassified as slaves. The 14th Amendment, that's the new contract. That's the new contract. The 14th Amendment to the Constitution ratified, keyword, ratified, amended. In 1868, there was a Jubilee, my people. And that contract was to take our ancestors off their sovereignty, of being American Indians. Why do you think there was a provision in that Civil Rights Act of 1866 that specifically said Indians not taxed? What were they telling you? You still have a right to be an Indian. We're not going to tax you. But if you want to be a part of this society, this new society that we created, we are going to give you the American dream. If you want to be a part of that, you got to give up being Indian and be black or considered a slave from Africa. So now we could tax you, because we can't tax you when you're an Indian and you're keeping your tribal affiliation. So we have to disconnect you from that. We have to detach you from your ancestral ties on this land and come join this new society that we created. It's a corporation, but we're going to make sure you live the American dream. The 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, ratified in 1868, explicitly mentioned Indians not taxed. Specifically, Section 2 of the 14th Amendment states, representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers, counting the whole number of persons in each state, excluding Indians not taxed. So in other words, when they did their census, the first census in 1790, our people were not supposed to take part of that, because we were never supposed to be part of that foreign society. So they could not tax us for anything. Taking your money is taxing you. Taking your children is taxing you. Sending you to jail is taxing you. Now we are being taxed from left to right, bottom to the top, from heaven to hell and hell to heaven. Because why? We accepted the contract of becoming 14th Amendment citizens of the corporation. And that's what y'all celebrating today? Taking our people 50 years back? That's what you're doing? But you are so selfish in your own mentality. You think it's really about Mexicans and people from the West Indies? So now you want it all for yourself. Oh, now it's ours because they want what's ours. We are tired of people coming and taking everything that belongs to us. How could it belong to you when you're from Africa? You're a slave from Africa. This land belongs to the original indigenous people of the land. And I just happen to be one of them. Just like many, many others that's here in the United States and all over the Americas. Those of us who are truly fighting for our blood right to restore our ancestors' legacy. We know the truth, so we don't get caught up with that nonsense. We don't get caught up with the hype. What Indians not taxed meant. This phrase was a crucial exclusion. It referred to American Indians who maintained their tribal affiliation. Keyword, maintained your tribal affiliation. Lived on reservations and were governed by their own tribal laws and customs rather than being fully integrated into the U.S. political and economic system, and thus not subject to state or federal taxation in the same way as other citizens. You see, our people maintained the customs. They maintained their political and economic structures, because why? They put our people in the hood. What you don't realize, the hood, the neighborhood, the ghetto, they were reservations. And the tribes became gangs. They had their own signs, they had their own customs, they had their own laws. It was just not recognized by the federal government. So they became unrecognized, federally unrecognized tribes by the federal government. But they were tribes, unbeknownst to them knowing that. Gangs are tribes. They're just misguided. They're just misled. So those were the reservations in the ghetto. And the federal government decided, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take some land specifically for a reservation, and we're going to recognize those people. And the ones we put in the hood, we're going to teach them how to destroy themselves and call themselves Black and African American, give them slave movies, give them cowboy movies that show that the Indians don't look like them, because they are the true original people of the land. And if we keep them disenfranchised, fighting each other, divide and conquer, then we always get to be the master of the corporation, the new plantation we created. Nobody's going to break it down to you that way. You know why? Because they have different agendas, or maybe they just don't know how to articulate it. You feel me? More broadly, the inclusion of excluding Indians not taxed in the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause, Section 1, was interpreted by the courts and Congress to mean that most tribal American Indians were not automatically granted citizenship by the virtue of being the U.S. being on U.S. soil. It didn't say being in the Americas, being on U.S. soil, because why? The U.S. is a foreign corporation that took hold of our soil, our land. So by them saying that you are not a citizen on that soil, we established our business, which was only supposed to be a 10-mile radius from Washington, D.C. The only U.S. citizens are those born in Washington, D.C. within that 10-mile radius, and their territories like Puerto Rico, Guam, and, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Those are the true U.S. citizens. Everybody else are state citizens falling under the banner of U.S. citizens because they all in cahoots together. This was significant exception to the jus soli principle established by the 14th Amendment for all other persons born in the U.S. and subject to its jurisdiction. You feel me? So everybody else fell under, that jus soli, 14th Amendment contract, that covenant, except the Indians not taxed. That was the only exception. There was always a way out for us because they have to. You got free will. They cannot hold you against your own will. That's why now it was a choice, and you made the choice. Whether it was done through trickery or not, non-full disclosure, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is it was a choice. Kanye West knew what he was talking about. Maybe he didn't articulate it the way that I'm doing it, but he said it was a choice, and he's correct. It wasn't until the Indian Citizen Act of 1924 that all American Indians born within the territorial limits of the United States were finally granted U.S. citizenship. Most people think that that pertains or it was directed to Native Americans. No, they were never Indians. That was the final nail in the coffin. Everybody, even the so-called Black people who still knew they were Indians, we are going to make them citizens of the United States, of the foreign corporation. By doing so, that means they become subjects of that corporation, and their allegiance is to that corporation, and therefore they have to pay allegiance to the sovereign of that corporation who got owners. Emancipation Jubilee. There was an Emancipation Jubilee celebration held in Salem, Oregon in 1868. My people, it was a jubilee. to commemorate the anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation. We got to give the original people of the land. Go look at the etymology of Jubilee. We have to give them a chance to free themselves, give them back their land. So we are doing the right thing. So we remain righteous with their ancestors, but at the same time, we got to put another provision in place. The 14th Amendment, the Civil Rights Act, it is always something to pull our people away from what they should be truly focused on. So this celebration involved the gathering of formerly enslaved people to honor the day they gained their freedom. Because you accepted being a slave opposed to a prisoner of war, because nobody told you there was a difference. They gave you one option: to be a descendant of a slave and not a descendant of a prisoner of war. Chief, man, thank you to my righteous ancestors, man. The 14th Amendment citizens, this is what it means: born within the U.S. and subject, keyword, subject to its jurisdiction. Let us look at the definition of subject in the Black's Law Dictionary, 2nd edition. One that owes allegiance to a sovereign. Key word, well, two keywords: allegiance and sovereign. But let us focus on sovereign. These people are not sovereign on our land. We are the sovereign people. But how can you be a sovereign and a slave at the same time? You can't be. You can't serve two masters at once. They switch roles. And when you go look at the definition of American in Noah's 1820 dictionary, you see where they switch roles. It's the same game, different players. American. Noah Webster's 1820 dictionary. Couple colored races found in the Americas, the Aboriginals, found here by the Europeans. But now, the term is applied to Europeans and the descendants. They were the Slavs. So they came into our land, made us the slaves, we were already here, and made themselves the sovereigns when we were the sovereigns. We were the landlords. They took the title of landlords and made us tenants. We're not supposed to be paying rent. We're not supposed to be buying food. We're not supposed to be paying taxes. They're supposed to be paying us. No 14th Amendment slave could be a master. I know a lot of you are not going to like me for this, but it's okay though. I'm not here for the likes. 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, ratified 1868. Numbers don't lie. Let your brother break it down to you. 1868 was a jubilee. Every 50 years is a jubilee. So our people, they took the bait, they drank the Kool-Aid, they went into slavery for another 50 years. Now it's on paper now, because our people were not physical slaves. That's a lie. Okay, everything was paper, contract. All right, 1868, 50 years. What gives you? It gives you, I'm 1918, another jubilee. Our people did not get the memo. Another 50 years. That takes us to 1968. What happened in 1968? Our people, yes, they were supposed to be waking up, but they wasn't quite ready just yet. Nobody was there to quite articulate what I'm doing right now, the way I'm doing it. You feel me? They had a few, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and the likes, but they knew something, but they just didn't know how to put it together just yet. So since our people were not quite ready for this, they put James Brown on the scene to release "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud." That was another curse, put us back into mental slavery on paper for another 50 years, which now brings us to 2018. In 2017, another jubilee was coming. So we had to prepare ourselves for that. I went on the internet. I told my people, it's the jubilee, my brothers and sisters. This is what we're supposed to be doing, because I was sent for this. They did not listen to me. They spent time trying to prove I'm from Africa. They spent time trying to call me a fake Indian. You dig? They missed it. Because why? The trumpet sounded in 2017, 2018, a jubilee. They missed it. Here we go again, another jubilee. All right? Because the vibration and the frequency of the universe has sped it up. And another thing is the contract, or the prophecy of us being first and had to become last. It was up, so we had to become first again. So in 2024, here comes another jubilee. But in 2018, They had to bring the abomination to put him in place, to solidify African American, and to solidify taking away American Indian and replace it with Native American. So the trumpet had to be sounded again in 2024. You dig? Here we are in 2025. 2025 equals 9. What is 9? Completion, transition, the end of a cycle. What is the cycle? The slavery cycle. But because they know this, we are still in the Jubilee, they had to go back into the courts to play the game, because people play games on courts now. It's all a game. They're all actors. It's all acts. So they have to go back into the court to play another game. These people are waking up. So we got to give them something. Let's appease them. First we're going to come up with the plan. We're going to make it sound like it's about the Mexicans. It's about the Jamaicans. It's about the Haitians. It's about the West Indians. How is that we don't see no pale-skinned Europeans being deported like that? But y'all celebrating that, huh? Right? Because y'all think y'all different from people from the West Indies, huh? Because you're special. All right, you're going to learn the hard way, though. But it is the end of the cycle of slavery of 2029, and they just pulled you right back into it to acquiesce that you are descendants of slaves. Because you know why? Let us go on the scene and tell them, oh, whoa, this 14th Amendment and this act was only dedicated and only put in place for the children of enslaved people. And you are proud to be the children of enslaved people, opposed to the children of prisoners of war. It's different. Because why? You think there's these big reparations coming for you. Because the master said so. The same people who gave our ancestors the Bible, the same people who gave our ancestors the alcohol, the same people who have from day one, and it's not just the pale man, the Black Britons, from the British Empire, they're here amongst us, but you just can't see them. They're not ready to show themselves yet. So keep thinking it's the pale man. It is not the pale man. The pale man is the gatekeeper. You dig? So what's happening right now is, now that they see a lot of our people waking up claiming who we are, they got to run back into the courts and play the game. Nah, we can't do this, man. We can't do this. We got to make sure they know that they are descendants of slaves. So therefore, you will always be just Soli. You will always be just Soli and not just Sanguinis. Because just Soli equals birthright by birth on soil. You are a native. And that's why that native dude, Josiah Nonaya, whatever his name is, paying attention to me now. He now telling so-called Black people they are the natives and he's the American Indian. Flipping the script, that's what they always do. Switch roles, trading places. Opposed to us, who we truly are, by just Sanguinis. Okay. Give me 1 second. I had to put a G here. Right here. Just Sanguinis, right by blood on the soil. American Indian, original indigenous. My people, wake up. I love y'all, man. And I know a lot of you are going to see this and you're going to miss the message. And it's okay if you do. A lot of you are going to see this and you think I'm hating. It's okay if you think I'm hating. But what we should be focused on right now is not no birthright citizenship. That's a trap. It's a new contract. Okay? That's going to put you into servitude for another 50 years because you signed the contract. You acquiesced to the contract. You did not oppose the contract. Okay? It's a verbal agreement. Your silence means you acquiesce and you agree to it. We should be focusing on who we are as the original people of the land, our declarations, self-identification, self-determination. We are going to get a whole lot more than what you think reparations is going to give you. Do you really think the slave master that tells you the only time you're going to see heaven is when you die, so to speak, and be unalive, you're going to go to heaven and meet your creator. But while you're here on earth, we're going to milk you out. We're going to sell you the dream. Do you think those same people are going to go into a court and play a game and tell you you're so special? You are the special slave. So we're going to give you everything. That's what you really think. But in the meantime, we're going to play a little game with you. And we're going to make it seem like it's the Mexicans. It's illegal aliens, illegal immigrants. Let's get rid of all of them. When you are left by yourself in the corporation with a people that was meant from the very beginning to get rid of us, what do you think? All of a sudden they're going to break bread with you and say, I love you. Welcome home. This has always been yours because you came from Africa. You came and worked and built this. Nah, we already had our structures. It was already here. This land belongs to the original indigenous people, not descendants of slaves from Africa. Facts over feelings. So y'all better get your facts straight. And all the people on the internet telling you, oh, well, this is something good for us. This proves that they know who the original people are. No, it proves that you are agreeing to being a slave from Africa. I'm done.